If you're an average player, you want to be left alone, all right, because you want to be able to slide by. If you're a good player, you want to be coached. If you're a great player, you want the coach to tell you the truth every day. Did I hustle on that play? Did I make the right read? Did I play the guy with the right leverage? You want to know every play, because you know why? They want to be perfect. Everybody here makes a choice to do one of those three things.
Welcome to the GOAT Consulting Podcast, a podcast dedicated to people striving to be a GOAT, the greatest of all time, serving it up in a way that you can get it in all stages of life.
Hey, I'm Colby Jubenville, and welcome to another episode of the GOAT Consulting Podcast right here in studio in VC Productions in Nashville, Tennessee. We got a great show for you today. That's not Tyler to the right of me. That's one of Nashville's most recognized fitness gurus in the nation, and right here in Nashville. We'll get to her in just a second. Her first name is Erin. I'm still working to see if I can say her last name.
Oh, you got it.
Last name correctly. But to the left is my good friend. We call him the LinkedIn Whisperer. He's the calming force to our show, Captain Kintsugi. The list goes on and on.
It does.
John Byers. John is here today.
So
Sean is to the left, and he's going to be sending messages throughout the show.
Producer Sean.
Producer Sean, and then always Producer Davey. We got a great show for you today, but before we introduce our guests, let me just say this. We are the GOAT Consulting Podcast. We are sponsored by Dev Digital. Dev Digital has a little piece to this story today, and we'll share that here in just a second as we move through session 1 to session 2. But we serve it up in a way that you can get it. We're like Waffle House. In our 20s, they teach us to get in the game. In our 30s, we move up in the game. In our 40s, we try to stay in the game because those 30-year-olds are so damn good. In our 50s, what the research says, we finally ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? In sports, GOATs are easy to see. They're recognized for their greatness. They elevate the play of those around them. But in business, it's people that compete on unique perspective, unique education, and unique experience. What they do gives them energy, and it gives other people energy, and it gives new levels of challenge and new levels of opportunity. I had the chance to get some of your brand of energy a couple of weeks ago. Well, it's been almost a couple of months ago now at the Titans facility there as we worked out on stage together. On the weekends, you and I go around Nashville, and we do workout events together, right? At least we did that.
We did that one. Yeah, that was fun.
We did the one in Nashville. But Erin Oprea joins us.
You nailed it.
Thank you. Joins us today. Known for so many things. Could have been an astronaut. Could have been a police officer. Could have been a physical education teacher, but decided to go. Hair model.
I spent hours on my hair today.
Wonderful.
Do you love it?
I love it.
Now she's a mom. She's married to Sean, and she has an incredible story about where she ended up right here today with us. We're so thankful that you're here today. We look forward to unpacking a little bit of your journey along the way. And, John, I know you have some questions that you'd like to ask to start all of our guests off.
Well, it is so cool to have you. So thank you for being here, Erin. And we're going to dive in, although I'm going to start with one of my favorite quotes that you've ever said.
Oh.
And it's, I love to work hard, but life just isn't life without donuts.
I mean,
Hey.
is that not true?
100% is true.
I mean, I know I'm a fitness instructor, but life's about balance.
But most people don't admit it and put their vulnerability out there.
I have no
and
shame.
that's what's going to make this time together so special today.
You know what our favorite thing to do is we travel a lot for work, and so every city we go to, we walk to a donut store, a local donut store, not like Krispy Kreme, but not knocking them, but we just go find a local group.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's 6 miles to a donut store, and then it's like balance, right?
Well, I was going to ask you, do you plan where you're going to stay in proximity to the
No,
donut
no,
shops?
I'm game for walking. If it was a 10-mile walk for a donut store, I walk 10 miles. I don't care. It's donuts.
In Sea Grove, Florida, there is a donut shop that we were there last week, and we go every
heard
year
about it.
for 15 years, and we get, they cake on Oreo or M&Ms. I mean, it's glorious. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I don't like the toppings on it. I don't want all that.
Yeah.
I like the old school mom
Just
and pop.
glazed or the cake?
No, I like the apple fritters, but I just don't like them loaded with candy and stuff.
Okay.
That's not my thing. I don't even like.
My
people are gonna be
go-to
like,
is a cinnamon roll.
Keep it simple.
Oh,
Cinnamon roll is my go-to.
I love it.
Non-negotiable. Whatever life throws at me, that will always be my thing.
The best donuts ever. We've been all over for donuts. Is in New York City. It's called the Donut Project. They have an everything donut, kind of like an everything bagel donut. It's like salty, sweet, out of this world. Best donut you'll ever eat.
Okay.
We need to
This
go.
episode brought to you by the Donut Project.
That's right.
in
And
New York.
Dev Digital.
It's so good.
All right, Erin. So it's so cool to have you here. Thanks for joining. Sean, it's good to have you We expect your input here
Sean's
at some
hiding.
point. You're an author. You are
An app developer.
crushing the fitness world, developing
Trainer.
apps. Thank you, Dev Digital, because they are the backdrop, I believe, for your app.
Pretty muscles.
Pretty muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give
hear
us
more about that?
one of the things we want to ask you to kind of start off. Give us a defining moment in your life that you would credit and look back to that got you to today.
A defining moment.
Yeah.
I would say watching the movie G.I. Jane. Watching the movie G.I. Jane.
How old were you?
So not in a
college. It was
College.
college.
not the G.I. Jane moment that Chris Rock just had a few weeks ago, right? Like here, this is
Not-
before that.
No.
Okay.
G.I. Jane, the character. I don't know. Demi Moore was the actor, but I don't know anything about
She
her.
was a stud in there.
But the character
Why?
G.I. Jane.
Why was that a defining moment for you?
Just realizing how strong I could be and how I just idolized everything about her. So if I was going to say my idol in life.
Yeah. Those defining moments create meaning for us, right? And so that was a defining moment that set the trajectory for you as you continue to move forward to end up right to where you are today. And we'll unpack that. We'll unpack why that was so meaningful to you here in just a minute. And so,
One other thing, just quickly, as we look back on your life, is there any childhood memory that just kind of sticks out that resonates with you? Maybe we'll call it your favorite childhood memory. What comes to mind there?
One that I absolutely loved was hiking the volcanoes in Hawaii. We went for a 3-week trip to Hawaii in 3rd grade, and camping and hiking all the volcanoes was freaking amazing. I'd say it's
In
one
third grade.
3rd grade.
You remember?
Oh, vividly.
What
It
was so meaningful
steaming.
about it?
It was just steam. It was just so ironic, like the black lava everywhere, and
Steaming, like
it was still
Sean
steaming. Oh,
is.
steaming hot
Okay.
smoke show.
Gosh.
You guys don't be jealous. He's all mine.
no.
I'm not sharing.
The hype man from our workout session together at the Titans facility there. That was incredible.
It's really fascinating. So 3rd grade, though, you think that was one of your best childhood memories? Volcano, Hawaii. I mean, that's really cool.
It's a big family memory. Like everyone was together and happy, and we were all young. And
Who was everybody? So
my
you
2
had-
brothers and my mom and dad.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that was a really good, happy memory growing up.
Setting the stage for you to then at some point say that I'm not going to be this astronaut. I'm not going to be this police officer. I'm not going to be this physical education teacher. I'm going to combine them all together. And at some point you decided after the hike and the volcanoes and watching G.I. Jane that you said, I'm going to go and do something that most people don't choose to do, especially most women at that stage of where we were in terms of women in the military, and you decided to join not the Army or the Navy or the Air Force.
No way.
You decided to
They're
join the
weak.
Marines.
You only go one way. The best, right?
Yeah.
Marine
That's right.
Corps. So that one was, I was married. I got married when I was 18. I started college when I was 16. I got married when I was
Oh, wow.
18.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Western Kentucky University.
Okay.
And then I moved back to
Owls?
Hilltoppers, Dave.
Hilltoppers. God, sorry.
And then I moved back to California, which was my hometown. I went to high school here and then moved back to California. I did college for a little bit and back to California and then joined the Marine Corps. But I got married when I was 18 and my ex-husband was a Marine. And I would
Okay.
say, wow, you get to go camping? Like, and I had just fallen in love with G.I. Jane. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to join the Marine Corps. He's like, well, if you join the Marine Corps, I'm going to divorce you. I was like, okay. So I just went and signed up. 9 years later, I got out.
Why did you really join it?
I thought I was like, maybe one day I can be in special forces, which at that time was completely closed off to women. It's now changing, which is really cool to see. So that's neat. But I really just, the challenge, just to see if I could do it. I was like, they get to go camping and hiking, and it's really, in my mind, I honestly thought it was like that. It's really not like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
a job. I mean, it's
It's a job.
yeah.
I loved it, though. Absolutely loved the military.
What is your favorite memory of the military? I mean,
The
if
bonds.
The bonds
Mhm.
with
The relationships that I had with all the guys I worked with
Yeah.
was like no other.
You served 2 terms in Iraq.
I did 2 tours in Iraq.
Wow.
And so the relationship that you grow, it's like nobody can have that same kind of relationship because it's just when you're in that kind of war zone feeling, you 100% depend on them for life.
Were you scared?
No, I've been asked that a lot. No, I guess I thrive on adrenaline.
Mm.
I'm people go one way or the other. No, fear really never once came over me.
And you were the first woman to lead an all-woman platoon into combat.
Yes. So my first tour to Iraq, I was a crew serve gunner. So I was shot 50 cals out of the turret on the top of a Humvee.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was my first. I did security force, like a security for convoys and stuff, all through Iraq. I went I went to Kuwait and sat there for 30 days before the war kicked off, and then we went in on day one to Iraq. And so we were still in mop gear, chemical suits. Mop gear is like your full chemical suit. So we were in that for days. We didn't shower for like 66 days. And that's when I was a turret gunner and all that fun stuff. And then I came home for 6 months, and I went back again for another year. And that tour, I first was working at the in Fallujah, which is a huge invasion of Iraq. It was actually really nasty, but so that I was in Fallujah, and I ran I helped run the prison camps. And then when we really invaded, which was insane, the craziest night of my life. When we invaded, we actually went in.
What year was this, by the way?
It was 04.
Yeah.
I went 03,
yeah.
04, 05. I think
Yeah.
I think we actually went in 04.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest light show I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I remember watching it on TV.
they cut the power. We were sitting on top of the prison camp, and they just cut the power to Fallujah. Everything just went, shoo, and then all the jets and everything dropping bombs. It was the best light show, best fireworks I've ever seen.
What did you learn about yourself while you were there?
That you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, you could absolutely do it. Your body achieves what your mind believes. That is true. So during the second, so when we went into Fallujah, they needed women to search women in the city because men couldn't do it with their religion and stuff. So they put together this all-female platoon. And my actual job was military police. I was a field MP. And so that was my actual job, was searching. And so they put me in charge of this. And they pulled women from all different jobs. It's called MOSs. They pulled women from all different jobs and formed one platoon. And they put us at checkpoints all throughout Fallujah every day.
It's really fascinating. I'm sure there's so much more there to unpack. I think all of your story will lead to this question. One of the ways that we honor our guests is that we ask them to give us their definition of a goat. Would love to hear your snapshot of that. And then after that, would love to hear you share who your goat is.
Well, I kind of already shared that. But my goat, hands down, is G.I. Jane. She has been my idol and the person I've looked up to.
You are right. I would not have guessed that. Now mine is so much more less important.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes,
who's yours?
We'll get there. Yeah,
okay.
G.I. Jane.
So
okay.
G.I. Jane, I just think that the character G.I. Jane was somebody I always wanted to be. I just looked up to her as the complete badasses of badasses. I was like, I want to be her. She can do stuff. Look at her. She can do the same thing as men. Not saying that it's always even. It's not always even. She worked her ass off to get there, and that's what I appreciate.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you say is you got to fight for it, and that it's just not fair.
Oh, it's not. Life isn't fair. Life isn't fair.
So you learn that where besides G.I. Jane, the movie, where you got to fight for it and it's not fair, where did you learn about that personally? And then when did that start to resonate with you?
What better place to learn that women are not treated equally than in the military?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's different. I know it's different nowadays.
But you were one of the first waves to come through of women that said, I want to go and do this.
I mean, there's been women in the military for years and years, but women really had never been attached to the infantry.
Combat.
On the front lines of combat.
Leading.
Yeah.
In that way.
So that's where is the first females to ever, what I led was the first females to ever be attached to the infantry, period. The first female platoon to ever be formed, and the first females to ever be attached to the infantry in a war zone. So it was like 3 first.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty big deal. But life isn't always equal. Like, I had to fight. So my unit that I was in before I led that platoon, my unit, there was only a couple women in it. And when it was time to go, we had trained for years of the same training, men, women. We all trained the same. But when it's time to go, they said, you can't go because you're a girl. I was like, well, I've done the same training. Well, life isn't fair. I mean, I had to request mass, which means you go up to the next level and the next level until you get what you want. And they eventually flew us over there and let us do what we
What was the pushback? Why do you think you got pushback on that?
Because you're a woman.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
there's no question. There's no question. Yeah. Women, I think.
What was their thinking? Like, you're not strong enough. You're like, what?
No, I don't.
Women
I
are weak?
honestly, I don't think strong enough is necessarily the answer. Maybe they say, well, there's not facilities for women to men. Like maybe not enough restrooms or maybe showers.
Okay.
Maybe it could have been that. That's not what was ever said to us. They never
Okay.
came out and said, this is why. They just said, no, you're a woman, you're not going. Like the Marine Corps doesn't have to give you an answer
Yeah.
why.
Right.
They just say, nope, that's it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like what that person's told you, you can go over their head and over their head. And so that's what I had to do.
I want to read something to you. This is from an article from Forbes. The Army identifies what it sees as 3 underlying gaps in public motivation to consider Army service. It's a positive knowledge gap, claiming its story, brand are not reaching an American populace, increasingly remote from exposure to serving soldiers or veterans. An identity gap stemming from misplaced assumptions about Army life and culture limits. Service considers as does a trust gap, reflecting that the broader loss of trust and confidence in American institutions, including the military. When you hear those things and you think about your service and why you chose to join, what is the answer to closing that gap? Those gaps in knowledge, those gaps in identity, those gaps in trust.
Is that basically saying that there isn't a trust in the military anymore?
Yeah, reflecting a broader loss of trust and confidence in American institutions, including
I feel
the
like
military.
I feel like the military has changed over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has changed.
Would you join the military today if you could?
Yep. I would go back. If they said, hey, we need you to go fight, I would be gone today. I mean, I'm too
who
old.
taught you that?
Who taught me that?
So cool.
I think that's just instilled in my head. Like I have a crazy drive.
Came
I have
from
a
somewhere. It
crazy
came
drive.
from the volcano in Hawaii in 3rd grade.
Maybe, you know what? My dad is an ultra driven. Actually, both my parents are very
Yeah.
driven. My dad passed away at my going away party when I was leaving for Iraq the second time,
Oh, wow.
and I think he's my driving force.
When you talk about, like, I reach back for just a second in your definition of GOAT. I mean, ultimately what I heard you say is life's not fair. GOATs get that, and they got to work through it, right? It's hard work. But there's something else. I mean, a lot of people, there's a big delta between everybody when they say we work hard. But there's something else that's there, right? Like you're choosing something different than most people. Like, and I'm not even...
You're basically choosing a route that is not normal, a route that is not easy, a route that you're going to have to fight your way through because you're going to be told no a lot of the way.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say. You're going to be that sports are a big one.
Yeah.
We're going through that with my son, and it's really interesting to watch. He has the same drive as me, my younger son.
And
He has
this is
that-
Hayden.
yeah.
Hayden, who is going
Soccer.
to be a professional or is a professional soccer player.
Like he says, I don't have time for friends. I'll have friends when I sign my first big contract. I don't want girls in my life. I don't want anybody in my life to stop me.
No
It is
distractions.
one track mind. Like literally, that kid eats, breathes, lives soccer, but not necessarily just soccer, but everything else to build up to it.
But you would have some people, that's clearly a definition of working hard, laser focus. And you're going to have somebody else that says, well, I work hard too, but nowhere near that, right? So there's these different levels. I think about one of my favorite quotes when it relates to the work that you do is you choose your hard, right? It's hard to lose weight. It's hard to maintain weight.
Ooh,
It's
I said
hard
that
to be
and got
overweight.
so much shit for that one.
So choose your hard, right? And
I agree.
Maybe, listen, don't send us your hate mail. Let me just go ahead and say it for Erin, say it for me.
I'll get it.
But, like, you choose your hard, right? You're going to have a hard. And there's something different, though, about the work that Hayden's doing, that you do, that you teach, and the rest of the world that says, I work hard.
I think it's a drive. I think it's a drive that you cannot be told no. Like, whatever it is that you're going for, it's like a hyper focus, a drive where you're going to hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, but you don't give up. And everyone around you is going to tell you it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy Powell said in his book, The Last Lecturer, which is one of my favorite
Yeah.
of all time, he said, brick walls aren't there to keep you out. They're there to figure out how bad you really want
little
it.
detour.
Yeah.
A little detour. But you're going to hit them all the time. I've hit so many in my job.
Well, you say things like it's not normal, it's not easy, and you fight your way through. I think those are the reasons probably your clients hire you today to do the things that you do for them, right? you know,
And
when
they
you-
want to eat donuts.
And they want to eat donuts.
you have-
I mean, more of mine don't want donuts; they want wine. Come on, or tequila, or whatever it might be.
And what you bring to the world is that those two things aren't mutually exclusive. You can have a glass of wine or a donut and still have pretty legs.
Yes. The goal is balance. Like, you don't have
Like
to be a
me.
hero and rescue the whole bottle of wine. Open a bottle of wine, have a glass, and call it good.
Is it drive or is it need for achievement? Is it drive or is it need for achievement?
I would say it's both.
Okay.
Wow.
I would say it's both. You need, it's not necessarily, I need to prove, I said I was going to do X, Y, Z, whatever that thing is. And no matter, and so when I was becoming a trainer, I got certified to train when I was 18.
Okay.
And then I went in the Marine Corps. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went right back into training. And everyone's like, what are you going to really do when you grow up? I was like, I'm going to be a trainer. And they're like, well, how are you going to support your kids? I was divorced at this point. I was like, how are you going to support your kids? I'm going to be a trainer. Like, get a real job. This is before social media and training was cool. It's a cool career now.
Yeah.
But when I started, it was not a cool career. There was no social media. There was, it's like,
People wouldn't pay people wouldn't pay what they pay today. There wasn't really a market.
No, that's where college kids worked.
Yeah.
That wasn't your career. And I was
Yeah.
like, I just want to be a trainer. I want to be a trainer. I want to be a good trainer. And so when I was building my training business, I opened a house cleaning business and I cleaned houses. And as I would gain more clients, I would drop a house and drop a house. And eventually I said, I will be able to support my kids' training.
That's awesome.
And so that was my goal, is I will support my children training.
Well, while you were doing that, there was somebody that was paving the way for you to become who you are today. And I'm going to share my goat. And I feel like your goat was so good that I'm going to bring the level down quite a bit. However, it does not keep him out of the goatness. And he is known for such videos as sweating to the oldies and party off the pounds. Yes, that is Richard Simmons.
Oh, Richard Simmons.
One of the greatest of all time. Paved the way while you were working up to where you are.
Right.
And he said one of his most famous lines, one of my favorites of all time, is number 1, you've got to like yourself. Number 2, you've got to eat healthy. And number 3, you have to squeeze your buns. That's my formula.
I called John.
Oh my gosh, you guys, do you know that I always
You're
tell
welcome.
people walk with a credit card in between your butt cheeks? Like you're holding a credit card. That's what I tell my clients.
I called
Buns and steals.
I called John a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, John, what are you doing? He goes, I got the kids up early and we're kind of going back on some YouTube and doing party off the pounds. And I'm like, dude, that is so awesome that you got your kids involved in party off the pounds.
We were walking around the park with credit cards in our butt.
But I mean, you do what you gotta do. So
Dude,
I
the name of the
actually
show just got changed to Party Off the. This is the kind of stuff that he does to me. And see, my goat was Colonel Jessup. You want me on that wall, you need me on that wall, right? And I bet you experienced some Colonel Jessups along the way.
I'm sure. I'm sure. You know what? So I just told my team the other day. I was like, we were talking about workout events, and I was like, can we get Richard Simmons? He's kind of MIA right now, but if I could
he
find
has
him,
been.
I would love to do a workout event with him.
Let's partner together and bring him to Nashville.
Yeah. What would you call it? Donuts would be involved.
We'd have to update one of the
We
videos.
have to talk about squeezing our
What'd
butt
you
cheeks.
say? Party Off the Pounds, and what was the other one?
Sweating to the oldies.
Oh, everybody knows that one.
What about sweating to the 2020s?
Sweating to
Something.
the oldies.
We'll call it something. We'll come up
So
with a good
good.
name.
All right. What's that?
Goat nuts.
Donuts and goats.
Goat nuts.
That's beautiful. Sean, coming through.
Oh, Party Off the Pounds with Erin Oprea
And Richie Simmons.
and Richie Simmons. I love that.
There we go.
Did you ever watch a Richard Simmons video?
No.
No. So you didn't even, before you got going on this journey?
I never watched anything. So, like, TV was not something I ever watched. I never watched videos. I never watched movies. I never listened to music. So if you ask me anything about famous people, I won't know anything.
Still today?
All right.
Still today.
Still today.
I like the Weather Channel.
Just
They
I'm
have a
not
good.
kidding. I want to be a storm chaser
They have
one day.
a good app. Me and my 13-year-old
I watch it 500
are
times a
going
day.
on a storm chasing adventure
No, you're not.
in April. I take all my kids when they turn 13 on a one-on-one trip, and my 13-year-old would say the same thing. I want to chase storms. He said it for years. So his trip in April is going for 5 days to chase storms in the peak of tornado season.
fantastic. I want to be in a hurricane next.
We'll save you a spot.
I have a guy actually. I just found a not like a tour, but a guy that's a storm chaser. I put it on Instagram because I really wanted to do this, and so him and I are connected. Yeah, we've been talking. So we're waiting on a storm right now.
So G.I. Jane,
storm chasing.
But did you know Top Gun?
No, I mean I like the movie's good.
You did,
yeah.
Okay. And the latest Top Gun.
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it. Are you gonna go see it?
Not in the movie. I don't go to movie theaters.
Doesn't go to movie theaters.
All right,
that's just a big nap for me.
Well, she's not normal. She doesn't. She doesn't.
We love
take
that about her.
I do love to dance.
She likes to dance, sweating to the oldies, sweating to the oldies.
Stick around for part 2, and we may see some of that.
She doesn't take the easy way out, and she fights her way through it. This is the GOAT Consulting Podcast, and for Tyler at the beach and John Byers and our good friend Erin Oprea, this is the GOAT Consulting Podcast.